Do you feel like you don't fit into the overly sexual gay community? You might feel like an outsider in a culture focused on quick hookups. If you need to connect on a deeper level before jumping into bed, or you want to feel trust and safety before you get to the physical intimacy stuff, you're not alone. Many guys want to meet at least a few times before feeling pressure to have sex. And it's a tough spot, but been there. You might fear the guy will lose interest if you don't want to have sex right there and then. Or you might feel challenged to assert your boundaries. If you're tired of this, stick around. Let's explore how to date at your own pace and find the connection you want. Sometimes it feels like you're on the outside looking in, especially when the dating scene is so focused on jumping into something physical right away. You're trying to navigate a world where it feels like everyone else is playing by a different set of rules, and that can be isolating. Feeling like an outsider doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. It just means your values or pace are different, and that's totally normal. I completely get where you're coming from. I know many other guys who share this need too. So let's set the record straight, so to speak. Who says dating has to follow the fast track? The right guy for you will be perfectly fine with not rushing into things and focusing on what really matters, which is trust and communication and deeper connection. A connection based on things like shared interests or values or life goals before anything else. So, how do you make sure you're not getting pushed or pressured into something you're not cool with? That's where boundaries come into play. First, you'd want to figure out what your boundaries are. It's not always easy, and then we'll talk about how to protect them. So first step, get clear on what your boundaries are before you even meet anyone. Take some time to sit with yourself and figure out what you're really comfortable with and what's off limits. When is it okay to kiss or to have sex, to have bareback sex or anything else you don't want to feel pressure to do? The key here is knowing where you stand so that when the moment comes, there's no second guessing, no overthinking. You just know it's right for you or not, and you're ready to communicate that to the guy in real time. Remember, this isn't about what others expect or what society says is normal. There is no universal right or wrong here, only what feels right to you. Your boundaries are there to protect your values and pace, so it doesn't become about meeting someone else's timeline or pressures. Now, one mistake I see guys make when setting your boundaries, focus on the principle, not the technicalities. For example, instead of saying no sex until the 5th date or something like that, which is arbitrary, you can't know in advance when exactly you will feel ready with a specific guy. Maybe you will feel ready after the 4th date or maybe after the 10th date. So a boundary that will serve you much better could be no sex until I feel ready for it, however long it takes. This kind of boundary is flexible and also respects your feelings as they develop, rather than sticking to a rigid timeline. Now, once you've defined your boundaries, it's time to put them into action. Let's say you're on the 1st or 2nd date and the guy is hinting at sex, but you're not feeling ready. What you could do is state your boundary in a way that's clear and positive. I really like you and want to keep seeing each other, but I'm not ready for sex yet. And here's where it gets really interesting and you get valuable insights to know if this guy is good for you or not. Watch carefully how he reacts. If he doesn't respect your boundary now, it's a red flag for how he'll treat you in the future. Early behavior often sets the tone for the relationship. So if he's not respectful now, he probably won't be later on, and you deserve better. Take another example. Let's talk about dating apps. You're chatting with a guy, and suddenly the conversation gets too sexual too soon. If that doesn't sit right with you, just say it. I feel it's too early for me to discuss this. I'd rather we talked about other things for now. And if someone on a dating app asks you for dick pics, that's usually not a good sign he's your boyfriend material. I know a lot of guys would just block him right away, but here's an idea. Why not use this as a chance to practice your boundaries? You could play with it a bit and say something like, I don't send big pics because I prefer to get to know the person way before we see or touch each other's private parts. It's a great way to see how he reacts. Maybe it will be funny, or it could even be a surprising conversation starter. Or he might just not respond because he's only after one thing. But the real win here is that it's a low-risk opportunity to stand up for your boundaries and assert yourself. You already know this guy probably isn't going to be the one. So you take this as a way to build up your confidence in setting those boundaries. Now, let's talk about something that can really mess with your head when you're dating. I'm talking here about the pressure to conform and fear of missing out. It's easy to feel like you need to follow the crowd or rush into things because everyone else seems to be doing it. But the truth is, your journey is your own, and there's no one right way to date or to have sex. You might feel like if you don't dive in head first, you're missing out on all the fun before you get older. Yeah, I get it. I used to think that way too. But as I've gotten older, I've realized there's really nothing to worry about. And if you're still concerned, think about it this way. The connections that matter most are the ones that are way beyond just a fleeting moment. If you're like me, what you're really looking for are the connections that align with your values, your pace, and your desire for something real. So, when you feel that pressure creeping in, remind yourself that meaningful connections are far more fulfilling in the long run than just ticking off experiences. Waiting for the right person and the right situation isn't about missing out. It's about making sure that when you do dive in, it's with someone who truly gets you and respects what you're looking for. Now, when it comes to finding someone like-minded, it's important to put yourself in the right spaces because it affects the types of people you will encounter. So, for example, if you're chatting with guys on an app like Grindr, which is geared towards quick and immediate dates, you might encounter more pressure to move faster than what you're comfortable with. Compare that with an app like Hinge. It focuses more on showcasing your personality and how you approach dating, which means there's a better chance of finding someone who respects your pace. Another great option, especially if you live in a big city, is to explore in-person groups and meetups. The connections you make there are usually more focused on shared interests and values, rather than just hookups. Compare that with the vibe in bars and clubs. So where you choose to hang out can make all the difference. In any case, be sure to protect your time and energy, so make sure you screen for compatibility as early on as possible. When you're meeting someone, you can ask about their thoughts on relationships, what they're looking for, and how they approach dating. The sooner you know if your values align, the better you'll be at finding someone who's truly on the same page. So, if there's one thing I really want you to take from this video is this. Go at your own pace and don't let anyone pressure you into something you're not ready for. Respecting yourself means sticking to what feels right for you, no matter what anyone else might think or expect. Trust that the right person will appreciate you for exactly who you are and the pace you set. Date on your own terms and always remember you're worthy of a connection that aligns with your true self. For more on gay dating and relationships, sign up to my newsletter. It's free and you get exclusive content. The link is in the video description.